So my name's Marcy Robinson, and I'm the Senior Director of Project Management for a company here in the Bay Area called Pharmaceuticals, and my company focuses in oncology research. The drug that my company is working on is called TH302. It's a known active drug, but the chemical compound has been modified slightly to be either metabolized or uptake differently in the body. Our drug specifically targets and takes advantage of the tumor microenvironment to specifically try to target the tumor as opposed to the whole body, so that there's less toxicity in cancer treatment. A lot where I think the industry is heading is trying to find drugs that specifically target certain areas of the body or whatever the condition that's trying to be treated to decrease the overall toxicity, especially in oncology research, because chemotherapies are known to just cause a lot of toxicity. You're hoping to kill the cancer before you kill the patient. The saying, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to get a drug to market. It's a multidisciplinary approach, many different people and teams. You can imagine that when you are taking 10 to 12 years to develop a drug, you're not making any profit during that time. And it's a lot of money. Yeah. So, how do you kind of make sure that you from a business perspective, have enough money to keep your development going? But on the other hand, the scientific side is are we at the end of the day going to help patients? I mean, so there's an altruistic part, which I like about working in this sector, which is you learn business aspects, but I'm also using the science that I learned in school. So there's me, a project manager, who's kind of making sure that the science and the business are all coming together. There's a physician, a doctor, who is overseeing the clinical development, who understands how the drug works and is thinking about, okay, how does this drug work? So what kind of, in my field, what kind of cancers, knowing the mechanism, what kind of cancers might this drug work in? There's always a biostatistician who works in concert with the physician who helps design the trials. So when you design a clinical trial, you're always thinking, how many patients do I need to test this drug in to have a certain level of confidence that at the end of the day we have enough patients, we've tried this in enough patients to know that there's a level of confidence that it actually works. Hopefully you'll have some idea based on the animal models what the toxicity profile is going to be before you bring it into humans. In oncology, these patients are sick. They have multiple side effects, not only from just the disease in and of itself, but how do you ferret out those that are from the disease versus those that are caused by your drug? Right. When a drug gets approved by the FDA, it's always a matter of weighing the benefit-risk ratio. There's always a business person on the team too, so someone who's looking at the budget and looking at the timelines and how do we kind of bring it to market. So you're always kind of thinking, how do you brand your drug? If you're not going to make that research cost up at the end of the day when you market the drug, because there's just too few patients who are actually going to take it, the business model doesn't work out. That's oftentimes why there's rare diseases where drug companies don't go after researching them, and it's a shame. We all have our own specific focuses and expertise, and not everybody else does. So how do you kind of communicate with others to get your point across when you're working in very scientific terms and realms? You could be the most brilliant scientist in the world. If you can't convince others, if you can't bring your idea forward, it's going to go nowhere. My company is a small company, so we're actually looking at more niche indications. So, for example, the phase 3 study that we have going on is in soft tissue sarcoma. The frequency and incidence of diagnoses in the U.S. is 11,000 patients a year. Versus, lung cancer, it's, hundreds of thousands of patients a year. We're working in an orphan indication right now, and how orphan status works is you apply for orphan status with the FDA, and if they grant it to you, then you have a longer market exclusivity period for your patent life. So you get usually an extra 7 years to market your drug. For a small company where we were struggling for years and years to just keep enough money to even keep our research going, it was like, how do you get to the market the fastest? And so when you go after kind of like smaller niche populations, you don't have to test in as many patients either, because there's not that many patients around. It just all depends on, again, the business strategy and how do you come to your business strategy. You know, how do we do our research? How do we make it more accurate so that earlier in the process of R&D or phase 1, we can get an inkling of whether or not it's effective versus spending all that money into phase 3 to learn? Because I think the statistics are like for every 1 in 500 drugs developed, they actually work. So that's an inherent risk that everyone takes.